What improvements have you seen have actually occurred in recent times when it comes to the implementation of FNMI in your experience as an educator or as the program director?
Well, I would say the very fact that we're talking about it and you're coming here to speak to me. I've been here for 12 years. I've never had teacher candidates come and ask me about First Nation, Métis, or Inuit issues. We might have talked about other things, but the fact that you're actually going out and seeing what exists within our teacher education program and in terms of policy and what exists out there is a great first start. Also, the current under the current neoliberal regime here in Ontario, they have been quite. I would say quite. They have put a policy in place so that teachers are called upon to look at First Nation, Métis, and Inuit histories, contemporary issues, and perspectives across the curriculum. So they put those policy pieces in place. And then I've also seen local school boards where they've appointed actual principals of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit strategies. So there'll be a designated person in the Ottawa Catholic District School Board and a designated person in the Ottawa Carleton District School Board. And schools are mobilizing, teachers are mobilizing. There's more initiatives. So there's definitely more presence. And then I think what's made the difference as well is with social media now, whether you have Facebook or Twitter, that there's more of a platform for marginalized communities that would not necessarily have a voice in traditional media, being able to, like I Don't Know More, started by 3 young women, to start a movement through social media to have an impact. So there certainly has been some small steps to improving access to resources and people, and a general awareness about the historical impacts of the Indian residential schooling system. But there's still a long way to go, and if you're familiar with Cindy Blackstock's organization and the work that she does, there's still a discrepancy between the services, including education, that are provided for First Nation, Métis, and Inuit youth, that they receive a 1/3 less funding than every other Canadian child that lives either on or off reserve. So there's a gap there. And when I talk about services, I'm not just talking education. I'm talking about being able to see a dentist, a doctor, access to prescription drugs, mental health issues. There's a discrepancy in the funds that they receive federally that the province makes up for every other citizen in Canada. So for those that aren't familiar, if you're federally recognized, the federal government gives a certain amount of grants per child on reserve. It would be the same thing if they might have access to that off reserve, but often if they leave off reserve, it becomes a battle between the provincial court, the provincial government, and the federal government about who's going to pay for those services. When you're an Ontario citizen, OHIP covers your medical expenses. The public schooling system covers your expenses and tops it up quite a bit higher than if you were going to school on reserve. So the same amount of money that the Ontario government gives per student versus the amount of money that the federal government gives per student is about 1/3 less.